All right, let's move on to a 3-point plan for the Dallas Cowboys. This should be fun. Hey, let me start this off real quick. I have a lot of things to say here, especially about Dak Prescott.
The floor is yours.
My first point for the Dallas Cowboys in this offseason is you've got to draft a replacement for Dak Prescott. And you cannot, under any circumstances, extend him. There is this rumbling coming out of Dallas that they might extend him again, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking to myself, bro, the guy's peaked. Like, he is who he is. He's 30 years old now. He's been in the league for 9 years, and he has not produced what you want him to produce. And he's simply not that guy. And there's a reason why the Cowboys have been sniffing around CJ Stroud and a couple of other draft prospects at the combine. So first things first, draft a replacement for Dak and do not extend him. Secondly, I did these notes a couple days ago, and the note was you've got to keep Dallas Pollard in-house somehow. And today they franchise tagged him. So Tony Pollard, stunning running back. Like he played at a phenomenal level last year. I believe it was 5.9 per touch, which was by far the best, and a career high of 5.1 yards per carry. So he seems to be the future of running back. You have to keep him in house. You franchise tagged him. He's staying in house. That's perfect. And then finally, you've got to add another piece on the other side of CeeDee Lamb. You got to do whatever you can to provide another option for Dak Prescott. Whether it's going out there and trying to get DeAndre Hopkins via trade, or you take somebody in the draft. A name that I like for these guys is Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee, maybe at 26 he's still there. Big-bodied, explosive receiver. So that's my 3-point plan for the Cowboys this offseason.
Nice. Right there with you on the CeeDee Lamb bit. I mean, we saw this was kind of like the move that the Cowboys made last year, and that kind of bit them in the ass down the stretch of times in the NFL season. Was they got rid of Amari Cooper and they made it like CeeDee Lamb was the guy, and they were just throwing coverage to him, and it was really like the only other option was Dalton Schultz, and Dalton Schultz is probably going to be walking in free agency because he didn't get tagged. Tony Pollard did. So getting a complimentary piece, whether or not it's Jerry Jones doing Jerry Jones things and trading for DeAndre Hopkins, or you go in the draft. So I'm gonna call the Bidwells. I'm a good friend of the Bidwells. He's come on my yacht a couple of times, and we're gonna work out a deal to get DeAndre Hopkins here, because we had Amari Cooper, who was, similar in age somewhat, and we kicked him to the curb. So but we like DeAndre a little bit more, even though he potentially has lost a step. But we'll bring him in and put that star on the side of his helmet, and he'll be a Cowboy saying, "How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys?" But in reality, they have to get another wide receiver. The other thing too, 1B is that offensive line, because it should not come down to whether or not one person's in the lineup that's going to determine if that offensive line is going to be an absolute shambles. They have to get an offensive lineman. If there's not one if there's not a wide receiver you love at 26, but there's an offensive lineman there, get an offensive lineman. But you have to protect Dak, or you're going to have to protect his potential successor at some point too. Like the offensive line, which has been a strength for the Cowboys for almost a decade, has literally whittled away in front of our eyes pretty much since like Tony Romo left. So you have to address that offensive line issue. And then the other one is, I want to see what this offense looks like with Brian Schottenheimer and the head coach, the buffoon whose name
Mike
is
McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy, clearly not memorable for me right now. But Mike McCarthy hasn't called a game since he left Green Bay. And their offense was top 5 in a lot of the statistical categories under Kellen Moore. And now you have Brian Schottenheimer, who had an issue with the offensive play calling that Russell Wilson wanted to do, and Brian Schottenheimer just wanted to run the football like it was 1985. So I want to see what this offense looks with, those two gentlemen at the helm.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be something that helps out Dak Prescott, because, he threw leading 3.8% interception rate for Dak Prescott. Maybe if the running attack is more prevalent in that offense, maybe it takes some pressure off him. Maybe he doesn't make all those mistakes, because, looking back on it this year, he was wild some games. Some games he's just throwing without even looking where he's throwing to. That game against the Washington Commanders, he threw a pick. I'm like, what are you even looking at? So
he looked like Wentz.
He looked shot. He really did. Like, and I truly believe that's why one of my main points was to make sure you draft a replacement for Dak Prescott. I think he's cashed. He's peaked. He is who he is. This is 9 years into his NFL career. I don't know why I'm doing the Italian thing, but like this is 9 years into his NFL career, and I'm sorry, like he's not the guy. He's not gonna take it to the Super Bowl, man.
And Jay, maybe it's like the eye test for me, but like, is it me or does it does it just seem like he hasn't run or he hasn't scrambled a lot since he broke
Mhm.
his leg?
Yep. Yep.
Like,
I think you're right. I'm sure if you dig at the stats, I'm sure the stats back up that feeling. But I get it though. I mean, he basically saw his ankle come out the side of his leg,
mhm.
so maybe he's taking a more cautious approach to his game, which is obviously hurting him.
Right, exactly, because that was like the thing with Russell Wilson was like, oh, like he'll at least move the sticks and he'll make plays with his feet and he'll move the pocket. Like Russell didn't do that last year, and that was also
Yeah.
like a comp a little bit of Dak Prescott. And I mean, he looked like me in math class when I was called for homework a couple of times in that pocket and with some of the reads that he was doing. So I don't know if I mean, listen, I don't blame him. I'm not taking shots at him for like being a little bit more hesitant with how bad of a leg injury that he had. I mean, that could have gone the way of Alex Smith type of deal.
Yep.
So I don't
Yep.
blame him at all. But I mean, if part of your game is being able to move and move the chains, yeah, that's going to be a big problem. So like, if you can get like a CJ Stroud, we waiting in the wings type of deal on
Mm-hmm.
let's not forget a rookie contract.
Yep.
That would be fantastic.
Yep. Yep. Yep.